Roman Mstislavich, known as Roman the Great, was a Rus prince, Grand Prince of Kiev. He was Prince of Novgorod, of Vladimir-in-Volhynia, and of Halych. By seizing the throne of Halych, he became the master of all Western Rus. In the early 13th century, the Byzantine imperial title, autocrate, was applied by the chroniclers to him, but there is no evidence that he assumed it officially. He waged 2 successful campaigns against the Cumans, from which he returned with many rescued captives. The effect of Roman's victory was, however, undermined by new dissensions among the princes of Rus. Roman died in a battle with the Poles. He founded the Romanovich dynasty that would rule Vladimir-in-Volhynia and Halych until 1340. Early years. He was the eldest son of Mstislavich and Agnes, a daughter of Duke Boleslaw III of Poland. After the Novgorodians had expelled the Prince Sviatoslav IV Mstislavich, Roman was sent to Novgorod on April 14, 1168 by his father. However, the princes of Smolensk and Prince Andrei Yuryevich of Vladimir spent the rest of the year conspiring and forming alliances against Mstislav Vasilyevich. Following the death of Mstislav Vasilyevich in August 1170, the Novgorodians expelled Roman and invited Andrei Yuryevich to be prince, and the latter sent Halych Rostislavich to rule Novgorod, Prince of Vladimir-in-Volhynia. When his father died, Roman was bequeathed the Principality of Vladimir-in-Volhynia. He subdued the Yatvingians and harnessed the captives instead of oxen to drag the plows on his estates. Roman married Predslava Yurikovna, a daughter of Halych Rostislavich. Their eldest daughter was married to Vasilko Vladimirovich, a grandson of Prince Yaroslav Volodymyrovich Osmomysl of Halych, but later she was repudiated. Following the death of Yaroslav Osmomysl on October 1, 1187, trouble began in the Principality of Halych due to the strife between his 2 sons, Oleg and Vladimir Yaroslavich. Roman urged the Galicians to evict Vladimir Yaroslavich and make him the prince, but they failed either to expel Vladimir Yaroslavich or to kill him. When, however, the Galicians threatened to kill his wife, Vladimir Yaroslavich took her and fled to King Byzantine III of Hungary. According to a late chronicle, Oleg Yaroslavich was appointed by Duke Casimir II of Poland to rule in Halych, but the Galicians poisoned him and invited Roman to be the prince. When accepting their offer, Roman gave his patrimony of Vladimir-in-Volhynia to his brother Vsevolod Mstislavich, but King Byzantine III marched against Roman intending to reinstate Vladimir Yaroslavich, and the Hungarians seized the principality. But King Byzantine III, instead of returning Halych to Vladimir Yaroslavich, proclaimed his own son, Andrew, ruler of the principality. Roman was obliged to flee to Vladimir-in-Volhynia, but his brother, Vsevolod Mstislavich, refused him entry. He therefore went to the Poles, but when they refused to help him, Roman rode to his father-in-law, Halych Rostislavich in Belgorod. Roman solicited military aid from his father-in-law, but the Hungarian troops repelled his attack. Halych Rostislavich therefore helped Roman to drive out Vsevolod Mstislavich from Vladimir-in-Volhynia and returned to his patrimony. Meanwhile, Vladimir Yaroslavich succeeded in escaping from his dungeon in Hungary. Duke Casimir II also sent Polish troops to Halych to support Vladimir. Yaroslavic's claims. At the approach of the expedition, the townspeople rose against the Hungarians and expelled Andrew in 1190. Vladimir Yaroslavich requested his uncle Prince Vsevolod III Yuryevich of Vladimir to support his rule. Vsevolod Yuryevich demanded that all the Rus princes, among them Roman, pledge not to challenge Vladimir Yaroslavich in Halych, and they agreed. On May 17, 1195, Grand Prince Ryurik Rostislavich allocated domains in the Kievan lands to the princes in Monomix dynasty, and Roman received Torchesk, Tripilia, Korsun, Bohuslav, and Kanov. Vsevolod III Yuryevich, however, threatened to wage war when he learnt of the allocations, and therefore Roman agreed to relinquish the towns in exchange for comparable domains or a suitable payment in money. Ryurik Rostislavich therefore gave the 5 towns to Vsevolod III Yuryevich, who, in turn, handed over Torchesk to his son-in-law, Rostislav Rurikovich. On learning that his brother-in-law had received Torchesk, Roman accused his father-in-law, Ryurik Rostislavich, of contriving to give the domain to his son from the very start. Ryurik Rostislavich also warned Roman that they could not afford to alienate Vsevolod III Yuryevich because all the princes in Monomix dynasty recognized him as the senior prince. Roman refused to be mollified and conspired against his father-in-law, and turned to Prince Yaroslav II Vsevolodovich of Chernigov, who agreed to join him. When Ryurik Rostislavich learned how Roman had persuaded Yaroslav II Vsevolodovich to seize Kiev, he informed Vsevolod III Yuryevich. Fearing retribution, Roman rode to the Poles, where he was wounded in battle. He therefore asked Ryurik Rostislavich for clemency. Metropolitan Nikifor reconciled the two princes, and Ryurik Rostislavich gave Roman the town of Polonii and a district on the river Rose. In the autumn of 1196, Roman ordered his lieutenants to use Polonii as the base for raiding the domains belonging to his father-in-law's brother and son. Ryurik Rostislavich retaliated by sending his nephew, Prince Mstislavich of Tripol, to Vladimir Yaroslavich of Halych, instructing him to join Mstislavich in attacking Romans' lands. Accordingly, Vladimir Yaroslavich and Mstislavich raised Romans' district around Peremel, while Rostislav Ryurikovich and his force attacked Romans' district near Kamenets. At about that time, Roman began repudiating his wife, Ryurik Rostislavich's daughter, and threatening to confine her to a monastery. Prince of Halych and Vladimir-in-Volhynia. In 1198, Vladimir II Yaroslavich of Halych died, and his death created a political vacuum that a number of claimants were eager to fill. Ryurik Rostislavich could now claim that, after the dynasty of Halych became defunct, the territory reverted to the jurisdiction of the Prince of Kiev. The princes of the two branches of the oligarchy could argue that the marriage ties with the defunct dynasty gave them the right to rule Halych, and the Hungarians had already made a bid for the domain 10 years earlier. The Galicians asked Ryurik Rostislavich for his son Rostislav Ryurikovich, but Roman rode to Duke Leszek I of Poland, promising to be at his beck and call if the Polish ruler helped him to win Halych. When the citizens refused to welcome Roman, Duke Leszek I besieged the town, and after capturing it, he forced the townspeople to accept Roman as prince. Roman promised to be subservient to the Duke of Poland and to live in peace with his new subjects. Roman turned his attention to the Cumans, who were threatening Byzantine interests in the Balkan Peninsula, and agreed to come to the assistance of Emperor Alexios III Angelos, and a severe blow was administered to the nomads. In 1200, he married Anna, a Byzantine princess, a relative of Emperor Isaac II Angelos. The relation with Byzantium helped to stabilize Galicia's relations with the Rusian population of the lower Dniester and the lower Danube. Shortly afterwards, Roman began wreaking havoc on domains belonging to Ryurich Rostislavich and other princes. In 1201, Ryurich Rostislavich summoned the Oligarchy to campaign against Roman. Roman preempted their attack by rallying the troops of his principality. The Monomashichi and the Black Cabs also joined him. The Kievans opened the gates of the Podol to Roman. He forced Ryurich Rostislavich and the Oligarchy to capitulate. He gave Kiev, with the consent of Vsevolod III Yuryevich, to Prince Ingvar Yaroslavich of Lusk. However, Ryurich Rostislavich and the Oligarchy recaptured Kiev already on January 2, 1203. Roman asked Vsevolod III Yuryevich to be pacified with the Oligarchy, and after he had concluded peace with them, he marched against Ryurich Rostislavich in Overik on February 16, 1203. Ryurich Rostislavich submitted to Roman and Vsevolod III Yuryevich, and promised to sever relations with the Oligarchy and the Cumans. After that, Roman also advised him to ask Vsevolod III Yuryevich to reinstate him in Kiev, and promised to support his request. Consequently, Vsevolod III Yuryevich forgave Ryurich Rostislavich and reappointed him to the town. That winter, Ryurich Rostislavich, Roman and other princes attacked the Cumans and took many captives. After the expedition, they met at Tripolia to allocate domains in accordance with the services that each had rendered in the defense of Rus. But they quarreled, and Roman seized Ryurich Rostislavich, sent him to Kiev, and had him tortured as a monk. He also forced Ryurich Rostislavich's wife and daughter to become nuns, and he took Ryurich Rostislavich's sons with him to Halych. Meanwhile, the relations between Roman and Duke Leszek I of Poland deteriorated for both religious and personal reasons. Leszek I was a devout Roman Catholic, and it was probably at his suggestion that Pope Innocent III sent his envoys to Roman in 1204, urging him to accept Roman Catholicism and promising to place him under the protection of St. Peter's sword. Roman's answer, as recorded in the Radziwill Chronicle, was characteristic enough. Pointing to his own sword, he asked the envoys, "Is the Pope's sword similar to mine? So long as I carry mine, I need no other." Duke Leszek I, supported by his brother Duke Conrad I of Masovia, undertook a sudden campaign against Roman. The latter was caught unaware and killed in the first battle at Zawichost. According to another version, Roman wanted to expand his realm at the expense of Poland and died in an ambush while entering Polish territory. Marriage and children. 1. Predslava Rurikovna, a daughter of Grand Prince Ryurich Rostislavich of Kiev and his wife, Anna Yuryevna of Turov, Fedora Romanovna, wife of Vasilko Vladimirovich of Halych. Elena Romanovna, wife of Prince Mikhail Vsevolodovich of Chernigov. Salomia Romanovna, wife of Duke Swantopolkai of Pomeranian. Her mother is uncertain. 2. Anna Euphrosyne, a relative of Emperor Isaac II Angelo's King Daniel Romanovich of Halych. King Vasilko Romanovich of Halych. Ancestors.